Hello, everybody. This is Tom Eckert here. You're listening to my podcast, Numerology, a GPS for the soul. This is your place to learn about the true power of numerology and how to use it to bring out the best in yourself, understand your loved ones better, take wise decisions, and prepare for your future. In other words, how to live your life aligned with your true destiny. Take your time to educate yourself and share these podcasts with your friends and family so they too can enjoy the great benefits of numerology. Enjoy! Hello there, and welcome to all my beloved listeners to yet another fascinating episode. Today we're going to talk about what happens when you merge two very important principles or components from your numerological chart, namely your life path number, and your astrological chart, your sun sign, and how that really unveils your essence and also your destiny on a whole different level, deeper, higher, more potent. But before anything else, if you are new here, welcome. In this podcast, we discuss numerology as a path for inner transformation, spiritual growth, and self-understanding. I attempt to make numerology accessible and applicable for everyday life matters, and do my best to provide you with grounded information so that you can apply numerology in order to live better, more consciously, bring more harmony and balance into your life, and live in alignment with your soul and your purpose. Now, here are a few ways you can dive deeper into numerology should you wish to do so. You can book a numerology reading with me. In a professional numerology reading, you can ask any question that is burning in your life and get precise and detailed answers. You can read more about my numerology readings and contact me to book your reading through the link in the episode description. If you wish to study numerology on a deeper level or even pursue it as a career, I'm inviting you to check out my numerology study paths. First of all, check out my self-study numerology course to learn the fundamentals of numerology at your own pace and in a comprehensive way. Or if you want to really go deep and pursue numerology more seriously and professionally, you can sign up to my complete path of certification from beginner to numerology expert and get certified as a professional numerologist. To read more about both, check out the links in the episode description. Okay, my friends, without further ado, let us dive into today's topic. Now, in the past, sciences, or mystical sciences, should I say, like numerology, astrology, chirology, or chiromancy, or what we know more commonly as palmistry, were often taught alongside each other as one complete whole. A more complete way of understanding ourselves, our lives, the purpose of our incarnation, and the will of our soul. As this podcast continues evolving, I will naturally be providing you with ever more unified and complete information of the mystical sciences, and will tie it with numerology. I feel that it is my duty as a teacher of the mystery sciences and of the Dharma to do just that, to keep learning, expanding, and providing my students and my listeners with more unified and complete information. Today, I want to show you how powerful it can be to blend the knowledge of your sun sign or your astrological sun sign with your life path number, and why it is that you can have many people with the same life path number, and yet it will play out so differently. Hint, their unique sun sign. Now, I won't be talking about all life paths, nor about all sun signs, not even close, but rather, like I always do, present a way of thinking and integrating data derived from these two powerful components in your chart. Now, I've come to know people with life paths 3. Okay? If you happen to be a 3 life path, then buckle up and listen up. So I've got to know people with life path 3 who were very easygoing, light, and creative. But I also got to know people with a life path 3 that were more introverted and dedicated to service and helping people with very difficult life situations. Now, I mean, for those of you who know number 3, you already know that number 3 is more creative, light, childlike, kind of a happy-go-lucky type of personality. But, keep going with me and see how this kind of unfolds. Now, some of those differences between those people, like the easygoing and the introverted 3s, could be visible only through their numbers, like using only their numbers. But some of these differences reveal themselves to me, at least, only once I merged their life path number with their astrological sun sign. And by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with the term sun sign, it is the zodiacal sign you always tell people you are when they ask you about your astrological sign, right? It is where the sun was located in the sky relative to the constellations when you were born. So when you hear people saying, I'm a Scorpio or I'm Sagittarius, you basically hear them talking about their sun sign. It's very similar, by the way, to when people tell you, oh, I'm a 5 or I'm a 7, right? Because here they are referring to their life path number. But real magic and revelation starts to occur when you blend these two amazing and important components of our numerological and astrological chart. A more precise understanding of your destiny unfolds and reveals itself. And in a way, your life path takes on a broader meaning and function. So in a sense, I would say, that astrological sun sign becomes an extension of your life path number. Now, both your life path number and your astrological sun sign point to your very essence, right? By the way, if you don't know much about the life path number, if you're new to numerology, then I highly recommend, listening to 2 of my episodes, one about the 5 core numbers and one about the 3 most important core numbers. That will give you a good idea and grasp of the life path number. So both these important calculations, one the life path number and the other the astrological sun sign, point to a very essential impulse also and motive in your being in this current incarnation. So it points to your essence, and it also points to a deep motivating force. Now, I didn't just randomly pick up any astrological component and tied it with a life path. I could have chosen many other astrological components, and believe me, we have many. Rather, I tied these 2 very particular and fundamental elements of your chart both pointing to the most essential identity and motivation in your life. When you understand, and this, what I'm going to say now, is very, very important for your practice in general. When you understand what ingredients you're dealing with, what components you're dealing with, that's when you can come up with incredible new recipes. When you can start doing real alchemical work and reveal new insights into the soul's journey by basically merging two essential codes from these mystical sciences, right? So it's important, just to reiterate, it's important to understand what those particular locations mean, what's their function, each in their own right. And then when you blend them, you understand what that blend should signify. Let's use some examples to understand that a little better. So I would like to demonstrate to you a little bit how that works. Let's take, as we've already kind of mentioned earlier, let's take number 3 as an example. So number three, right, can be very light, creative, and artistic, and often prefer to deal with the happier and lighter sides of life. However, in the case of a good friend of mine with a 3 life path, although he does have that spark of lightness, he carries a form of heaviness and also strength and this ability to help people with some very deep and difficult topics. He is a holistic doctor. Now, his sun sign is Scorpio, and the scorpionic energy is very different than the light energy of life path 3. However, both point to his essence. So the scorpionic energy wants you to go into the very depth, into the very mystery of things, right? The deepest water sign. It takes you into difficult places sometimes where it wants you to activate your latent powers. Now, what struck me about this combination of the 3 life path and the deep and powerful scorpionic energy in my friends, is my friend's ability and motivation to help people dealing with severe traumas, even war traumas. And so I realized that the combination of the lightness of the 3 life path gave him, with a scorpionic energy, on the one hand, gave him the power of lightness, the 3, right, to deal with difficult matters. That's the scorpionic energy. So the 3 gave him the lightness, because sometimes if you have an already heavy foundation, it's not going to be that easy for you to deal with difficult matters. You actually need that lightness. So that's the 3. While his Scorpio sun sign gave him the impulse and the ability to go into difficult and deep places with clients. That natural urge. So together, a 3 life path and a Scorpio sun sign formed a more complete picture of his essence and his destiny. And frankly speaking, that wouldn't have been necessarily visible to me just looking at his numerological chart. So that's where this particular methodology becomes really useful and comes in very handy as a practicing numerologist. Now, another famous life path, number 3, that you may or may not know of, was Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a very well-known Vietnamese Buddhist spiritual teacher who passed away actually not that long ago, I believe about a year and a half ago or so. And although he too was an unbelievable activist, like really, really, really unbelievable, was in a war and saw incredible atrocities, I want to point more in the direction of his teaching that was always about finding that beautiful place of peace and equilibrium in the midst of it all. Also in the midst of harrowing events of horror, war, and pain. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh was a sun sign Libra, and the Librans always seek to find the middle point, the balance between all things. That, the middle way, as the Buddhists say, right? And he was a Buddhist. Now, it aspires to find that perfect equilibrium and harmony in the midst of oftentimes turbulent situations. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh had very simple and approachable teachings, which is very typical of a 3-life path. But he used those teachings to create a space of wonderful harmony. I mean, just listen to him speak, and if you didn't have the pleasure yet, I highly recommend doing so. Just only by listening to his voice, to his simple words. Number 3, you reach a state of peace and balance, the Libra energy. Can you see how by merging the life path and the astrological sun sign, I was able to reveal the deeper motivations of these two people? The life path alone wouldn't have revealed it, and very often also not the rest of the numbers. And that's why I believe that in the meeting point of the two methodologies and the two components, we actually enhance our numerology readings. And I really want to talk about this connection between numerology and astrology. But before I keep talking any further, if you're enjoying this podcast, my friend, and want to keep learning more grounded, applicable, and in-depth numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button on the platform you're listening from and become part of my numerology community. And if you feel benefited by this podcast, make sure to rate my podcast. It really goes a long way in supporting my work. Also, make sure to check out the questions at the end of the episode. I'd love to hear from you. It really helps me know more about you, my beloved listeners, and provide you with better content. So let's talk astrology and numerology. Some of you may be surprised to know that in many esoteric schools or mystery schools, numerology and astrology were taught in conjunction with each other because the numbers and the planets, all of it was connected and still is. In fact, even the way the sign house system in astrology is divided into feminine and masculine is said to have originated from the way Pythagoras, the father of Western numerology, in case you didn't know, or the one who's considered the father of Western numerology, the way Pythagoras has actually divided the numbers into masculine and feminine. And from there, they kind of divided the house system or the signs into kind of masculine, feminine. Now, it's not a must to know astrology in order to use numerology. I don't want you to have a false impression here. Each system is vast, it's rich, and it's complete in its own way. But when you dive very deep, or when you have that kind of impulse to really, study more of the mystical sciences, these two inevitably bleed into each other and form a greater whole. In some of my advanced teachings of, for example, the arrows of Pythagoras, I teach a numerological methodology that is directly tied with astrological significations, and it is revolutionary. Just to kind of was important for me to, to put that on the table, this very, very important connection between these two incredible methodologies. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about how you should use your sun sign once you are clear about it. So once you embrace the methodology of combining the sun sign with your life path number, you should approach it in the two following ways. First is that sign represents an essential quality about your very being and how you approach this life. It's an essential motivating drive, something you naturally aspire to become. And in that way, it is very similar to the life path number that we are more familiar with as numerology lovers. The second way to approach it is to see the sun sign as a vessel through which your life path expresses itself. In our previous examples, we looked at 2 threes. One expressing through the Libran energy, the energy of the sign Libra, of balance and harmony, and the other through the Scorpionic energy, the energy of sun sign Scorpio, of intensity and depth. So once you acquaint yourself with all the signs of the zodiac, by the way, something I highly recommend doing, you'll be able to practice this methodology I present here and glean so much more valuable information about yourself, your loved ones, and your clients if you happen to be working professionally. Let's take a look at a few more examples to really bring this point home. So 2 other good friends of mine, and I always love, using people that I know well, to demonstrate on. So 2 other good friends of mine have a life path number 4. One of them has a sun sign of Pisces and the other of Scorpio. Now you can definitely, not Scorpio, my bad, so one has of Pisces, the other has Cancer. Now you can definitely see the energy of 4 play out in both of their lives. That's undeniable and, just like right there in your face. But you can also spot that unique way in which their sun sign, blends with their 4 life path and really alters its essence and destiny. So, for example, my Piscean friend, the one with the Pisces sun sign, is a much more dreamy personality, a dreamy 4 life path. And he spends a lot of time thinking about deep topics. He can just literally sit there for hours on his sofa, just pondering about things. And that's like a very Piscean thing, to be lost in your imagination. He's also very compassionate with people and with his clients. Again, also a very Piscean quality and trait to be very compassionate and caring of people and greater causes. So he always tells me how he tries to think of solutions for world problems, right? So he uses his imagination in a very compassionate way, which is again very typical of the Pisces sun sign. And that very much influences how he lives out his 4 energy. He is practical in the way that he tries to find compassionate solutions, right? Compassionate, Pisces, solutions, number 4, right? So in the way he tries to find compassionate solutions to heal his clients as a therapist. And he really, really spends a lot of time thinking about it. And that's really touching and beautiful. My other friend with a 4 life path, with Cancer as his astrological sun sign, is a totally different story. The Cancerian energy makes him much more of a homey type, kind of very protective of himself on the one hand, and also of those he loves dearly, and also very kind of emotionally protective, to be more precise. So he has a beautifully decorated apartment, and he uses his 4-ish qualities namely his craftiness, to create a beautiful home, which is a very Cancer-ish thing to do. It also adds, like the Cancerian energy in this case, also adds a dimension of heightened sensitivity to his 4. Something that may not always, by the way, be easy for him, since the life path 4 doesn't necessarily like being vulnerable. And as a result, when things get too close, he will attack using his Cancerian claws to defend himself. Nevertheless, once he is committed to something or to someone, he will stick with them. And that's a quality that is both present in number 4 life path and in the Cancerian energy, in the Cancer Sun Sign. So basically, what you need to do in order to utilize this methodology well is to study your life path number thoroughly, and then your sun sign as well. After you do that, try to feel and think, how would they blend into a new energetic entity that will have its unique qualities? Secondly, try to imagine, how would your life path express itself through the vessel of your particular astrological sun sign? The blending of astrological elements into numerology is an incredible upgrade, and that is something I have now started teaching my more experienced numerology students, simply because I see the incredible value that it adds to the practice. So if you happen to be a professional numerologist or a very experienced numerologist and would like to be part of such a group training, you can certainly contact me to discuss that. Just putting it out there. And as always, I really hope that this episode, keeps inspiring you to develop and explore further dimensions of numerology and the mystical sciences. And before we wrap this up, if you have enjoyed this episode and this podcast and you want to keep learning more in-depth numerology, make sure to click the follow or subscribe button on the platform you're listening from, and make sure to become part of this community. Remember also to leave your answers to the question at the end of the episode, as it helps me get to know you far better and provide you better content. And also, if you benefited from this episode, please make sure to rate this podcast, as it really, really helps me out. Don't forget also to check out my professional numerology readings. And if you want to pursue numerology deeply, then check out my self-study numerology course, and certainly check out my in-depth numerology certification studies. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being with me here today. And as always, I'll see you in the next episodes. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, and you want to go deeper into numerology, check out my website, tom-eckert.com. You can also book a numerology reading or even study numerology yourself through my courses. I'll see you in the next episode.